Thank you for being here today, Chris. Happy to have you on the show. From the moment that I wanted to do the podcast, I was like, I need these people, and I need Chris and Yoreh. But Yoreh has left, so I have you today. Thank you so much for being here. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. My name is Chris. I'm 31 years old. I'm from Holland, the Netherlands, Rotterdam. Represent. And I've been in Queretaro for about a year and a half. And like you said, maybe some people know me from the pub quiz here that I've been organizing for more than a year. We just had our anniversary.
How did you come up with the idea for the pub quiz, or you and Yoreh in this case?
Yeah, it's good to mention first that I started the pub quiz with Yoreh. And Yoreh is a good friend of mine from the Netherlands that I know him since we were 5. And he kind of convinced me to come here to Queretaro as well, to live here. And when I arrived, we were immediately talking about starting an event by organizing it. And at first I needed some time to get used to the life here in Queretaro. And after a couple of months, I was I said to Yoreh, let's go, let's do it, let's do something. And we were at first thinking about a language exchange, but to organize that every week or every 2 weeks, we thought that maybe it was going to be a little bit boring for us at one point. We've been to a lot of language exchange before as well. And I lived in Spain before I came to Mexico, and I went there to pub quiz a lot of times, and I was a big fan. So I introduced that idea to Yoreh. I was like, why not a pub quiz? We want to do something for people to practice their English as well. That was the idea. And with this event, we thought, okay, people can have fun. People can meet new people as well, and also practice their English. So I kind of forced that idea to him, and he was okay with it. He was definitely on board, and that's how it started.
When you guys started, what were some of the challenges you faced? What were some things you didn't expect, or what was easier or harder than you imagined?
I think what was difficult in the beginning is that a lot of people didn't know already what a pub quiz was, because it's not very popular in Mexico. So I remember I got about 6 or 7 questions in the beginning, what is a pub quiz? You know what a pub is? Yes. You know what a quiz is? Yeah, that's basically it. That was my answer. And the good thing was that the first edition we had, most of the people were our friends. And after 2 or 3 editions, people were so excited. So I was not expecting that kind of energy. And not in a very long time, it was sold out already. And we didn't have to do a lot of marketing anymore. So that was definitely a positive thing about that. The challenge itself, in the end, I have to say I'm very positive. It was going automatically. And also the energy I got back from it was amazing. And we were not sure for how long we were going to do it. And we've been doing it for a year, almost every 2 weeks. And maybe the difficult thing was sometimes to stay motivated for me personally. I have a full-time job, and doing that on the side, I see it more as volunteering work and doing something for the community. And sometimes you're just tired. Sometimes you have a very long day, and then you have to work on the pub quiz again. And it's a lot of fun, but when you're tired, sometimes it's nice to relax as well. So I had some of those moments, and my friend Yoreh, we had kind of both a role. He was doing more the marketing, the administration. He's much better with that than me. I was doing more the quiz, and at one point he was taking over more tasks for me as well. I was getting lazier. But it worked out in the end, because when you're there and when you're presenting it, you get so much energy from the people itself. So even if you had a very long work day, you come there, everyone's screaming, everyone's drinking, everyone is just having fun. Then it's like you, Mishell, for example. So that gives me a lot of energy. So I'm always curious. When I'm presenting, I don't know exactly what's going on in the groups. So what do you normally talk about? Do you mostly talk about the questions, or do you also sometimes you know the answer from the beginning? You're like, oh, I have a good story about this, or you just talk about daily life?
I don't think we talk about daily life that much with at least in my team. And my team is made up of people who are very close friends, and we see each other fairly often. So we kind of try to use the pub quiz time to really just be about the pub quiz. At the same time, we'll get some, catch up here and there if we haven't seen each other in a while. What other things do you wonder about as a pub quiz host?
Okay, well, first of all, the teamwork. Like in general, I see a lot of teams working together, but there are always some cases that somebody's a little bit more dominant or somebody's a little bit more shy. I always wonder about that, if that goes, if the teamwork is all right there. Furthermore, well, the questions itself, if they're not too difficult or too easy, I always try to read the people. And a lot of times when there's an easy question, they let us know, like, oh, piece of cake. And then my response is always, wait for it. You're going to get it. And I have no idea what the next question is going to be. So I don't know if the next question is going to be easy or difficult. But I always want to have the right balance. So if it's too easy, then for me, I feel a little bit like, oh, I failed. It should be a little bit challenging. You should be working together. And if it's too hard, then it's probably even worse, because that's not really good for the team spirit. And maybe some people don't want to come back the next time. So that is definitely one thing I'm wondering. And that's about it. I mean, you can see a lot of things as well. You can see a lot of people having fun. So I'm not too worried about that. So I think that's it.
How do you and your team come up with these questions? Do you guys just sort of like text each other and do like, oh, I heard something interesting, and have like a WhatsApp group? Or do you guys just sit down one day all together and just come up with the questions? How does that work? What's the process there?
We do have a WhatsApp group, but actually only now me and Gamba know the questions. I mean, the rest of the group helps us with administration and telling people where to sit, but they don't know, they haven't seen the questions at all. They also playing the quiz with us, so I have no idea. So it's only Gamba and me, and before Yoreh and me, and I was mostly in charge of the questions. So, but Yoreh helped me a lot as well to fill up. We have like a big Excel sheet, and Gamba is helping me a lot as well, especially with the Mexican questions. He is Mexican himself. I don't know a lot about the Mexican history or the politics. But before a lot, I used the internet, of course. And at one point, your whole life becomes a quiz. So if you're watching a documentary, you're like, okay, maybe I can get 1 or 2 or 3 questions out of it. Or like last time I was in Guatemala, the next quiz, there was a question about Guatemala as well. So I'm constantly thinking about questions. And I think in the quiz itself, about 50% are internet questions that I maybe changed a bit, because we also have different rounds where you have double questions, for example. You cannot find those on the internet easily. A lot of questions you find on the internet are also very American-based or based on Europe or England. So you do have to tweak them a bit, and you have to keep constantly thinking about questions. But that's a lot of fun, as long as I don't go too far, because sometimes I'm with friends and I'm like, did you know? Or like, hey, what about this? Do you guys know? Like, Chris, come on, we're just enjoying a beer. We just want to talk. So I do have those moments from time to time. I have to control myself.
You mentioned Gamba, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the administration change that the Pub Quiz Queretaro underwent when Yoreh left. So as far as I know, you and Yoreh started it, and it was just the two of you, right? And then when Yoreh left, we got Gamba, and then a bunch of new team members. Could you tell us more about your team and what that transition was like for you?
Yeah. So we started with the two of us, and we both were equally in charge. So we both had, especially in the beginning, we were just constantly asking for feedback, and also throwing ideas at each other, like, what do you think about this? Like, nah, or this, yeah, that might work. So especially in the beginning, it was very important to evolve and to create something. And for him, Yoreh, my friend, was doing a lot of administration and marketing. At one point, it went a bit more automatically. So that made it much easier, or else it would be really difficult right now. He left in December, and there was just one guy for the job that we knew that could also take over his job as presenting the quiz. That was Gamba, who has been to all the 25 quizzes still now. Not even me. I have been to 23 or 22 of them, I think. I went on a holiday here, or he's been to all of them. So, he was at one point a bit our mascot as well, now our presenter. So that was an obvious choice. And in the beginning, it was kind of my baby. And I had to be in charge a lot. So that was difficult, I would say, different. But now I gave him some tips as well, and he knows where to focus on as well, and that helps a lot. So without him, it would not be possible now. That would just be too much work. And in that time that after Yoreh left, I asked some friends to help me out, and next to their full-time job, they also are willing to help me out, which is great. We're still kind of trying to find the right people. I think now we are good. We have about 4 people that help us with like social media, taking photos, doing the Instagram stories, and also all the questions we get before the quiz. So I think now we're getting there. We have the right team.
And thank God for Gamba, because I really enjoy the Mexican questions. For me, I didn't grow up here. I don't know much. I didn't, go through schooling and sit down and really focus on Mexican history. History is also not my forte or anything. So every once in a while, when there are Mexican questions based on Mexico, books, anything on literature, history, and I happen to know the answer, I'm like, it's fine. I could lose this quiz, but I deserve my Mexican nationality. So I feel really good about that. And I know that Gamba is behind these questions, so it's cool to have him there. And also to make the English speakers who show up at the pub quiz also learn something new, even if they get it wrong, right? Which is why I don't always like the slides where you guys give the whole history of the thing, because I'm just like, I want to know if we won or not. But there are people that take the photos. I don't know if they ever looked at those photos ever again, but I know that the information has been at least interesting. So that's cool. So shout out to Gamba.
Gamba, my boy. Sorry. Yeah, I love him. He's a great host as well. He always brings a lot of energy, good, positive energy. So I think he's doing great. And it's, like you said, it's great to have a Mexican on the team as well. It was maybe a little bit strange that we were at first 2 Dutch guys. And we also had a lot of Mexican questions in there, but it just makes it so much easier also to fact check and with him and to have just a Mexican on the team. It's cool.
I'm actually surprised to hear that it's only you and Gamba that know the questions and the answers. So your teammates are also playing the pub quiz that night, but then they're correcting it. Do they correct their own? How does that work out?
They just do whatever they want. I don't know. No, just kidding. Now, what I do is I prepare it in this way that it can actually work. So they don't know the questions when they're playing, but we have a halftime. And in that halftime, we're going to check the scores. Mm-hmm. So then you already have an idea how far you're behind on the first place or if you're first place. Mm-hmm. And then I give them, whenever they're going to go to another room to check the quiz, I give them one piece of paper with all the answers. So they see the answers right on that moment when the questions are already done. So they cannot change anything anymore. Yeah. So sometimes, they are checking their own team form, but whenever you're checking, it's like a little factory. It's really going as fast as possible because you have so many of them. So when I come back, a lot of people ask me like, "So what's the score? Are we winning?" Like, I have really no idea. I just checked. I gave it a score. I don't know what team has what score. No idea. So in that way, it works out. There's no cheating, I think.
You guys mentioned during one of the pub quizzes that there's always a question related to Netherlands. Is that still true?
Wow, it sounds like a myth now. It is kind of true. Not in every quiz, though. Yoreh was a little bit more represent the Netherlands, represent Rotterdam, where we're from. And I didn't mind. And so we had, in every quiz, we had a Dutch question in there. Mm-hmm. But at one point I noticed that some teams, when they didn't know an answer, they were like, "Oh, it's probably the Netherlands. Must be." So I changed it up a bit with sometimes not having Dutch questions in there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they are. So I still want to represent a little bit and still want people to know a little bit more about my culture. But I don't have it in every quiz now.
Okay. Because I was one of those people that said it's probably the Netherlands. So now I know that it's probably also not the Netherlands. Tell me about the prizes. Sorry, I'm yelling to the mic.
You should use it one in the podcast. Tell me about the prizes.
Okay, actually, going back. I never saw a Stroopwaffle. I never saw a Stroopwaffle until I joined the Pub Quiz Queretaro. And I was like, what are these cracker-looking thingies? They look delicious. It's for the first prize winner. Therefore, I should want it. I don't know what it is, but I should want to get this thing. Could you tell me more about the Stroopwaffles and why you guys chose this to be the prize?
Yeah, the Stroopwaffles. You're close enough. Don't worry, you got it. Yeah, they're very Dutch, so we wanted to do something. In the beginning, we were like, we're Mexico. We are both Dutch guys, so we want to give them something that is related to us as well. And we found out that you can buy them in the supermarkets here as well. Not anymore in the supermarket close to my house. So it's going to be a little bit harder to find them, and I hope in the other locations it is still possible. But yeah, they're waffles. Thin waffles, not like the big ones that you have in Belgium. And there's syrup in between, or here a lot of times also caramel, I think. And how should you eat them? They say that you should put them on like a cup of tea, and they become a little bit softer and not that crunchy, and that's the way you should eat them. But we use them a lot in the Netherlands to give as souvenirs. And we have some other prizes as well, maybe that's good to say as well. We also have some bottles of whiskey or rum to choose of, so you can choose one of them. And we started doing a mystery box as well. So you don't know what's in there. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. You know how a mystery box works. And if you guys have any tips, if you guys want to have a different kind of prize, let us know. Because like you said, I think it's mostly about winning, and about you also get a free drink. The first 3 groups, they get a free drink per person. And I think for some of the people who play, they've asked me like, oh, can we get something more than this? Like, yeah, it's possible. We'll check it out. If there are any like nice ideas, then for sure. But I think you play mostly to win and to post it on Instagram and to have that honor.
Talking about going back to where you're from, the Netherlands and Rotterdam, and how you and Yoreh like to represent every once in a while. Can you tell us more about where you come from and what it's been like getting used to Mexican culture? If anything interesting exists to share about that?
No, nothing. No. Yes, of course. Yeah, in the Netherlands, I've lived there for quite a bit of my life, of course. And when I finished my university study, I was kind of a bit clueless of what to do next. I didn't really like my study enough to really work in that field. So, and then sometimes I didn't really feel connected with my own culture that much. It's quite punctual, quite serious a lot of times, quite focused on work. So at that time, I was looking for a total change in my life. And I was thinking about living on the other side of the world, which was not Mexico first. It was Vietnam. I lived there for 2.5 years, or almost 3 years. And I also wanted more a social job. So I did an English teaching job. That's a lot of us have done probably from our generation. And I really loved it. It was not just something for 2 years or 1 year or 3 years. I really loved doing that. And I tried all kinds of classes there as well. I tried to see what was best for me as a teacher. So, for example, working with little kids and being all enthusiastic and stuff like that was not for me. I didn't have that energy. And at one point with COVID, I went back to Europe. I made a switch to working online. And I was still looking for a bit of culture that was closer to me. I really loved Vietnam, but at one point I felt a bit disconnected with the culture as well. And I moved to Spain with Yoreh. We were both working online at that time. We couldn't really fly anywhere because of COVID, and we didn't want to fly. And we went by car there because I asked him, where do you want to live? He said, Spain. I want to practice my Spanish. So I was like, okay, I don't know any Spanish, but I guess I can try. I stayed there for about a year, and I met some Mexicans. And also the stories I've heard, Yoreh already moved to Mexico, and he tried to convince me for a couple of months. And just that, I felt that like there was a connection with the Mexican culture. And when I came here, I also noticed that as well. Like the Mexicans are so friendly, of course, but also very social. They're not shy. Like in Vietnam, people are also very friendly, but they're a little bit shyer. So I think it fits me, like this culture and this kind of atmosphere to have here. I don't know if it will be possible for me to do this event, for example, back home in the Netherlands. Probably, yeah, I know you look like very confused right now. Probably it will be, but there's a different atmosphere there. There are different problems there as well. Mostly like administration things and stuff like that. It's just a little bit harder to start one of those events. So yeah, when I came here, I had an expectation, and of course I was surprised with some things, but in general, it has not disappointed me.
What were some of your favorite things when you first arrived here? Things that you were like, this is all right. I could do this. I could get used to this. Anything you can remember?
Yeah, I would say the city center, the parks. When I saw them, like all the trees, like nicely cut, I was like, wow, that's proper. I wanted to say proper shit, but maybe I can do that again. What about you? Did you notice something? Did you have a certain expectation when you came here, and was there something that was surprising for you that was different?
I'm surprised to hear about the parks and the trees and things like that for you, because the image that a lot of us have of any country in Europe is that everything is perfect over there. So how could this be surprising to you, right? With that said, I think what surprised me the most arriving in Mexico, and has always surprised me the most, is the level of color. The color is something that I sorely need for just feeling happy every day. There's not it's impossible to feel really bad if you take a walk down the centro on a sunny day and you see all the colorful buildings and all the children playing, and maybe their economic situation isn't the best, but they're playing and they're out, and there's colors in the background and flowers, so it makes me happy. And that it still is true from the time that I arrived until today.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, my father came here. He just left last Tuesday, but he was here for 2 weeks, and that was also one of his points that he noticed a lot. Like, he was walking around, he's like, so many colors, I love it. And yeah, I forgot about that, but I noticed that as well.
Do the Netherlands have colors?
What is color? What is emotion? Does the Netherlands have colors? Yes, less for sure, especially in the buildings, less. And the weather, it's grayer. That doesn't help. So, but yeah, there. So I'm from Rotterdam, and Rotterdam was bombarded in the Second World War, and the city is very modern because of that reason. But it's also kind of like an architectural playground. So a lot of cool buildings, new buildings are there with some colors here and there as well, and there's a lot of like graffiti and art. So there's some colors, but you have to look for them. Yeah.
My podcast is where you come for the real intellectual questions. Are there colors in the Netherlands?
Yes. I can just say yes, there are. Surprisingly.
How's your Spanish?
Yeah, it's there. It's not as good as the ones in the podcast before. I think I have a little bit of a different story. I can communicate. I don't know if it means anything. It's like on B1, something like that. But there are still plenty of moments that I still have some miscommunication, that's for sure. So my motivation is maybe a little bit different. I was really... I'm gonna mention Andrew again. But that's actually the only podcast that I've really listened to with Adam and Alexis as well. And his motivation stunned me. I was like, wow, this guy is really going for it. And for me, I don't really have it that much. I've been learning languages almost my whole life. Of course, starting from English, we had to learn a bit of French, a bit of German at school. Then I learned a bit of Indonesian. Then I lived in Vietnam. I tried Vietnamese to learn Vietnamese. I don't think it's really good, but I tried. I tried with classes. So at one point when I moved to Spain with my friend, I was like, I have to start over again. So I had a bit of a lack of motivation. And I did go to classes. I did try. And also when I was here in Mexico, when I came here in Mexico, I do have my moments. A lot of my friends always tell me, like, Chris, you never talk Spanish to us. I'm like, yeah, I just want to be comfortable with you guys. And I have my other moments, mostly more with strangers. that I talk Spanish. So, and I have a class here and there once a month about that. And yeah, so I think it's okay. It can be better. I'm working a bit on it, but it's going slowly. So, to answer your question, mwah,
Okay, so I won't make you talk about the pub quiz in Spanish. It's okay.
that would be nice. Actually, at the quiz itself, there are some questions about Mexico, or yeah, there are some sentences in Spanish as well. I tried, maybe you've seen it. I try to avoid them. Like, that's a lot of pressure for me that everyone's looking at me and then like judging me and my accent. And I know it's not that case. There's always a positive energy, but you might notice that Gamba is normally doing those names and those words.
I was going to ask you about Spain because you said you went to Spain. That's where you learned Spanish, or started to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
You began your Spanish learning journey in Spain, and that is also where you really got hooked on pub quizzes, right? Had you done pub quiz anywhere else before Spain?
I can't remember. I don't think so. No, I think Spain was the first one. Maybe no, I'm lying. I'm lying. There was actually in the Netherlands itself, in Rotterdam. There have been some quizzes, but most of them were like about music, pub quizzes, and they were huge. They were like 150 teams, and about 10 bars would join. And you would first go to the first bar, and they would give you all the forms and whatever, and then you had about 4 or 5 hours time to go to the other bars, and you could choose your own rounds as well. It's really cool. Yeah, and then you could go, for example, for modern music to a little bit older. And we were always the youngest team there. I think the first time of the 150 teams, we were about in place 135 or something. Just because I would say the age, probably the knowledge as well. And the second time we were like in 90th place or something. That was already a huge thing for us. And yeah, that is something totally different. But a quiz similar to ours that we have now, yeah, Spain was the first one, I think.
In what way? Smaller?
Yeah, like you said, not 150 teams. In our quiz, we have 9 teams of 6 or 7, which is about 60 people in general. That is already quite a bit, I would say. And the quiz in Spain was, I think, maybe 50% of that. So, and I stole some ideas from the quiz as well. Like in our quiz, before we start, you can see the category of the questions. And in that quiz in Spain, you could see a part of the question. And then you could say like, okay, this question, I think our team, we're going to be really good at this one. So you could do a double, like times 2. So I got it from that quiz. Yeah, I stole the idea.
So all the times 2, times 3 and the Joker, you got that from the pub quiz in Spain?
Yep. I copied that, yep.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, someone once said. That's cool. Is there anything else that you grabbed from the Spain pub quiz?
Not that much, actually. They didn't have like a screen, so we tried to have a bit more visuals as well. That is definitely different. There were a lot of movie questions in that quiz, and I don't know a lot about movies, so I didn't win a lot. I think it took me about 7 times joining before I won that quiz. A lot of times like a second place. So we changed that as well. Yeah, a lot of things I would say are different. Well, they had, in every quiz, they had a question about the Lion King. So I studied everything like around that. I can't remember anything anymore, but I had a lot of them correct. So we copied that idea for the regulars who come back every time, to have some kind of little advantage for them. So what we do now is we give the people who come back to the next quiz, they get like a streak, and they get a little hint of one of the questions, one of the more difficult questions in the next quiz. But it still means that they have to do their research. So we say, for example, is a question about Mecca. And in the end, the question is, so what is that cubic stone called that you have there? And you do have to do some research, so you do have to look at maybe the 10 general facts about Mecca or something like that. So, yeah, we did steal that idea a bit, and then we changed it a bit. No Lion King questions, because you cannot make too many questions about it in the end, I think.
There are other pub quizzes in the area. Have you ever been to the other pub quizzes in Querétaro?
As far as I know, there's only one other one, but I haven't been yet. The one who's organizing that, she came to our quiz once or twice, I think. She seems really lovely, really nice, so I definitely want to join. But it's quite far from my house, and a lot of times I kind of miss it. Then I see maybe a post that it was like last Tuesday, or then it's on a day that I just can't go. So it's in my plans, and definitely want to check it out, but haven't been yet.
So moving forward, how do you think the pub quiz will change? Will you guys continue doing it? Is there anything in the horizon?
Good question. I think how it is going right now, I think is pretty good for us. Like we can expand, we can try to find a bigger location, for example. But for us, it's really quality over quantity. So we don't want to go to a location where we have 150 people or 100. I think you have some other quizzes like that as well. I don't even know if it's possible, but we want to keep it like this for now. And we're thinking about maybe adding a second edition per quiz. So the time it takes to create a quiz is quite a bit. And there are always quite some people on the waiting list. So we don't want to make it like a really exclusive thing. And maybe in a way, if we can have twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row, the same quiz, but then with different people, then maybe we can expand it a bit like that. So we keep the same atmosphere. And I think furthermore, it's pretty good. Like before, in the beginning, we've asked a lot about for some comments, for feedback. And I think for now, whenever there's feedback, we can still change it. But we're quite happy with how it is right now. Some things that might change for the summer, it might be a little bit different. I'm going to the Netherlands for a couple of months, for 3 months. Gamba is going to take over. He's going to be the lead man. And we're going to maybe do it a little bit less, like once every 3 weeks, because I still have to make those quizzes mostly. And when I'm back home, I want to focus more on my family. So in the summer, it will be a little bit less, a little bit of a break, but it will still be there. And when I come back, we're mostly going to focus on having those 2 editions of the same quiz. So that's a bit the idea, and for now, yeah, we're happy with it, so why not?
On that lovely note, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me today. I know that you have a very busy schedule with soccer and pub quiz planning and what's that other thing that you do? Hiking, which we didn't get to talk about today, but I know you have a busy schedule. So thank you for fitting me in somewhere and being on this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for asking me questions about a pub quiz and just for this lovely conversation.
Bye, Ski.
Bye, Ski. I like that one. I'm going to use that. I'm going to start using that from now on. Welcome.
So I'm doing something a little bit different today. We're in the car, so the audio is probably going to be very noisy, but it's okay. We got the boys from the pub quiz here with me.
Boys from the hood.
Wait, from the hood? What the?
2 + 2 is 4, - 1 is 3.
Dude, nobody's gonna believe we're from the hood, man.
Not at all. Especially if you're coming from
That's
Millennium.
racist.
No, it's not.
That's a good point.
Okay. So, besides the fact that I should probably be wearing my seatbelt right now,
And not distracting the driver.
So, not distracting the driver.
They don't know I'm distracted because I'm wearing sunglasses.
Okay, so the other day.
Hit another car, we get a hit. Sorry, we're actually doing an episode or something. What was the idea?
The idea is that you and I spoke on the podcast off camera, and we talked a lot about the pub quiz, about you and Yoreh and how you guys started everything.
Yes.
And today, I actually wanted to get the other half, but on video. This is the famous Gamba!
Hello!
Yay! So, Gamba, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the Pub Quiz Queretaro?
Yeah, so I got involved with, about myself. My name is Arturo, but nobody calls me that. Everybody calls me Gamba or Turi. Just reasons. And I like sports, except for basketball, and video games, and weird stuff. I don't know, I never knew how to play basketball, and they always follow me. And when I do the same shit, they mark foul, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" So I never go into basketball.
What do you think about cycling?
I like cycling.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Because we had an argument with that person at the pub quiz who said that cycling sucks, and then she said she liked basketball. So there's actually a nice contrast.
Maybe because he likes basketball, that's why he'll hate cycling.
So how'd you get involved in Pub Quiz?
So last
Should I be quiet or?
on 2 years ago, I met Chris and Yoreh on a party. Aldo invited me. Hi, Aldo. And we started talking. He invited me to a football/soccer game. I said, okay, sure, I'm down for soccer. I played all my life. I like it. And then I believe Yoreh and Chris started like talking about the quiz and getting more involved, and they're gonna be starting one. And they told me like, oh, you wanna come? Like, hell yeah, I love trivia. So, and I love random facts and weird facts and all that kind of stuff. So they got me involved. Not involved. I went for a year or so. Right?
You went to every single quiz.
I mean, in a streak for a year. Then Yoreh left, and because I never missed one, Yoreh and Chris told me, you wanna be involved in it because you never miss a date? And I'm like, yeah, why not?
That's not the only reason.
But that's the main reason, isn't it?
What do you think it is?
I have no idea, man. At this point, I'm just doubting myself because of you.
What do you think? Why did we choose Gamba?
I think you chose Gamba because you need someone reliable who's going to be present and who can show up and really represent, not Rotterdam, but represent the pub quiz.
No, fun fact, he makes all the Mexican questions. I have no idea about Mexico, so.
That is not what he told me.
What? What the hell? Oh, okay, yeah.
Before I did the Mexican questions, but at one point, quite a quick point, my Mexican knowledge was done. And now you're making all the Mexican questions, basically, right?
Like weird Mexican questions.
Also normal ones.
Ajá. Y aquí vamos a pasar a hablar español porque pues eres el mexicano del dúo.
Sí, luego se confunden que soy europeo o la chingada. Yo no. Italiano.
Sí, pero es que sí pareces italiano.
¿Sí?
Sí, un poquito, pero sí eres mexicano. Bueno.
Sí.
¿Cómo se te ocurren las ideas como para qué preguntar? O sea, ¿de dónde sacas las preguntas mexicanas? ¿Son cosas de tu infancia o cosas que todo el mundo debe saber o cómo?
La verdad es que Chris creo que me conoce bastante bien y me dice, necesitamos preguntas de este tipo. Y yo, claro, tengo información sobre eso. Entonces saco una pregunta de lo que él, como él hace la mayor parte del examen. Uh-huh. Me dice, mira, tengo de esto, me falta de esto. Uh-huh. ¿Las puedes conseguir? Y yo, sí, claro. Okay. Y hago preguntas sobre eso. Así es como mayormente. O a veces le digo, oye, ¿puedes meter una pregunta sobre música? Entonces ella la modifica de ciertas preguntas.
Ok, entonces no preguntas lo que tú quieres.
A veces, no, sí, muchas veces sí. Okay. La mayor parte del tiempo no. No es cierto. No.
Puedes elegir. Sí. Pero normalmente no eliges.
Sobre este tema. Y ya le digo, mira, sobre este tema puedo hacer esta. Y dice, escoge otra de las que tú quieras. Ya, okay. Yo escojo este tema.
Ok. ¿Y en tu experiencia la mayoría del público saben las respuestas o no?
Algunas veces no. A veces pienso que la gente piensa igual que yo y no es verdad. Entonces, Chris me tiene que decir, ok, pero ¿México sabe sobre eso? Y yo, no sé. Yo sé. No sé si las demás personas sepan.
¿Te acuerdas de alguna pregunta que dijiste, sí, yo me la sé? Y a lo mejor sí se la van a saber y nadie la supo. ¿Te puedes acordar de una?
Hubo una... ¿Qué?
The singer. With the 11 names.
Sí, de Lara, ¿cómo se llama?
Ah, sí, yo me acuerdo de esa.
Agustín Lara. Corazón de León del Sagrado Corazón de Jesús. Dije, bueno, le tienen que atinar algún apellido de Agustín Lara. Si le gustara el Agustín o Lara, nadie le atinó a uno. Bueno, una persona le atinó a Jesús y dijo porque es el nombre más común de México.
Yo puse Hernández, Rodríguez.
No,
yo
no
puse
estaba ahí.
todo.
Y ya a cierto punto, el Sagrado Corazón de Jesús es un apellido, pero Chris dijo, no, dales un punto, por lo menos le atinaron a uno, fueron los únicos. Yo, bueno, dales un punto. Sí, o hubo una del K-pop que él puso, y dice, sí, está fácil, yo me la sé, nadie se la supo. Entonces,
yo me acuerdo de esa, yo tampoco me la sabía, y todos de mi grupo me miraban como eres la única asiática aquí, tienes que saberlo. Yo no sé.
En teoría, ¿sí? Es cultura general,
sí.
Pero sí, a veces nos llamamos antes de hacer el quiz solo para saber, oye, si preguntamos esto, no preguntamos, ¿qué te parece? ¿Te la supiste luego, no te la supiste? Y eso.
Ok. Bueno, en la entrevista en el podcast con Chris me dijo que... Hola, Chris.
Hola.
Me dijo que ustedes son los únicos que saben las preguntas, que el resto del team no sabe.
Y las respuestas.
Digo, las respuestas, perdón, sí, las respuestas.
Las preguntas puede que sí se las sepan algunos, otros no.
Ok.
No, está bajo candado en un Excel.
Ajá.
Que al parecer nadie puede abrir porque eso es...
Ajá. Bueno, bajo contraseña, nadie
No,
usa candados.
no, ni siquiera, a veces no se puede abrir ni con contraseña. Bueno, por eso. Pero, no, sí, los demás que nos ayudan a organizarlo no tienen ni idea de qué preguntas vamos a hacer ni las respuestas.
Ajá. ¿Y cuánto tiempo les toma como para ya terminar un pub quiz con todas las preguntas y los diseños y todo eso? ¿Cuánto tiempo les toma?
Pues creo que la parte más difícil del diseño, las plantillas ya están porque las hizo Chris con Yoreh. Uh-huh. Entonces eso ya está, ya teniendo eso es mucho más fácil, uh-huh, porque ya solo es poner la pregunta, uh-huh, pero Chris es el que hace más esa parte. Entonces, uh-huh, no sé cuánto te toma, Chris.
14 o 15 horas.
¿Horas?
Sí.
¿Horas?
Sí, creo, más o menos.
¿Para diseñarlo? A veces, ¿o para hacer todo?
No, para todos.
Okay.
Para administración también y para las preguntas, para, ¿cómo se dice? Layout también, por el quiz.
Ok.
Sí, pero depende. A veces es 12, a veces es 18. Depende en ronda 3 también.
Ok. Entonces todo un día completo y más.
Sí,
okay,
sí, y cada 2 semanas.
Uh-huh. Ok. Bueno. So, switching back to English, we are on a special mission today. Can you tell us what the mission is, Chris?
Is that the first question of today?
Yes.
Because that's kind of a hint for where we're going. We're going to our rivals, the Pub Quiz in Jurica.
Do they know that you're coming?
Well, I had to sign up on a website, but I don't know if they recognize you or name Chris. I think I know. I think she joined twice or 3 times. I think she won the last one actually with her group. So I think it's the same one, but I'm not sure.
Wait, so this person comes to your pub quiz?
Yeah, from time to time. Chris always told me, oh, that's the girl from the other quiz. I have no idea who she is still.
I'm not exactly sure because Yoreh said it once to me, that's the woman who also does the quiz. I'm that one? So I think I know which one. We're going to find out tonight.
Okay.
It's the same one, which is very nice.
Huh?
She's very nice, and she won twice of the 3 times she joined. So I'm expecting a very difficult quiz. I'm expecting not the first place today. I'm sorry, guys.
No, dude, I nailed the anime, the drawing, the animation, the music questions. General knowledge, I'm not that good about.
Okay. Well, I can help fill in with movies and pop culture and more millennial stuff. Maybe
literature?
some literature, depending on from what country and that sort of thing. Yeah. So this is the first time you guys have not staked out. The first time you guys have gone to the other pub quiz then.
Yeah.
It's only once a month. And normally I don't know when it is. So normally I see maybe a few days later on some kind of Facebook group oh, it was so much fun. It was a couple of days ago, so, and it's
Right.
quite far. So, but yeah, I had to plan for quite some time. We had to plan for quite some time.
Okay, so Chris is expecting more difficult questions because the organizer of this event has won a few pub quizzes at Chris's Pub Quiz. Now, what are you expecting, Gamba, as the new co-host of Pub Quiz Queretaro? Do you have any expectations?
No, I have no idea what to expect. Like, Chris told me what 2 days ago or a day ago that, oh man, they're gonna do a pub quiz, wanna join? And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, why not? I mean, I'm flattered because I'm useless sometimes, but thank you.
That's why I was invited, because I'm a winner.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, you won a couple of quizzes, so yeah.
Hopefully,
And Mike was busy, so he's in Canada. So welcome. Thank you for joining.
I hope I can pull my weight, because the real reason that my team wins is because we have 3 other very strong players and I help with like 20% of the questions. But we'll see. We'll see. All right.
For next time. We're happier.
Okay, so what we're going to do is take a small break. We're going to do the pub quiz and we'll be back to debrief.
You see if we're crying or we're happy.
How are you feeling, guys?
I'm not feeling that good.
No? Terrible?
Terrible.
Difficult?
It's a difficult one, I would say.
Yeah,
Very specific information. And I would say you're from my part of the world.
they have so many of the same, and I suck at math.
Quick math. Slow math. 2 + 2 is 4.
Okay, so just leaving the pub quiz with the pub quiz boys.
Yes.
What did you think?
A lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun to play it this time. The quiz itself, yeah, it was good. It was different from ours. So if you ask me to analyze it, I don't have a lot to analyze. It was...
Says the guy who didn't pull his weight.
What?
What did you think?
About what?
The pub quiz.
Oh, okay. It was fun. The only thing is like they were all together in the same table. I really don't like that. I like the separation in the other quiz.
We really had to watch out
What?
with giving the answers to the other teams.
Yeah, true. We had to be more careful. In our quiz, when I was a player, I was like struggling, like shouting answers and stuff, and the one I was like, I like the
I don't even know if I was recording.
that week.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! And we placed
we
third.
learn something?
yeah,
Can we take something with us to the quiz?
Timing.
Yeah.
Timing. Speed.
Timing? No, we can't. So you're talking about 2 different concepts. Here you have 1 table, no microphone, and you have people who are really
less
into
people.
quizzes. We have a lot of people who are not doing quizzes a lot. So if we would go too fast, we would lose those people. So I think the timing is not really per se something we can improve. That's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I think as well, because our round 3, I think it's like way longer sometimes. So people need more time. Also, we have bigger teams, and
We have like
and that makes
more than 3 times as many people.
yeah, and that makes like more discussion time.
Yeah, there are things that you cannot really copy from them. Like the timing! On camera, yes.
And we're not gonna be doing it because
That was
we're
an
gonna
actual
do all
stream.
this all along.
That was actually
So
You're falling asleep.
Did we have fun?
yeah, I had fun.
And
I
we
mean,
placed...
with you guys, it's always fun.
Okay. But this is the
Not
first
really.
time we've really hung out, so I guess I'll take that seriously.
On Saturday we had.
Yeah, we did hang out a little bit. Yeah, and we
Okay.
placed third, and we got
Yeah.
chocolates.
Thanks.
So cool.
Oh, second place.
Second place.
I thought third place.
Second place tied with third. So.
I was so tied second place.
Yeah.
But we didn't get the last question, and the last question is always the same, basically, which is the number 1 billboard. And the other group did have it, so they got 2 points for free. So we had that one second place.
Okay.
We don't do that actually. We give a hint,
We
but
give a
not,
hint.
with
That's a
not the
big
answer.
hint. That's 2 free points.
Yeah, but we don't give the answer to the regulars. We give a hint.
Yeah.
Not an answer.
Yeah, they go a little bit further with that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well,
To be continued.
yeah. Well,
Right here.
Yeah. Subscribe right here.
Check out our other
Yeah,
videos.
we've noticed that about 75% of our viewers
are not
watching
subscribed.
it but are not subscribed.
smash the like
Come on,
button.
man,
Smash the like button.
It's right here, it's right here, it's flying around.
somewhere. and watch other videos that are gonna pop right here.
Yeah, right here. And then you need like one of those goodbye phrases, like one of those things that you do with every video.
On that lovely note.
Oh, that's yours. Yeah.
So on that
But then
lovely
in
note.
Spanish.